Carolina 1 of 2 on the night so far. On third down, Marshawn Lloyd in the backfield, straight at the middle. Marshawn inside the 20, leaping a man at the 15, at the 10. Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Marshawn Lloyd. Rattler, 2 wide receivers over to the right. They want to run it straight up the middle. And breaking a tackle at the 10, at the 5, and into the end zone. The second one of the night for Marshawn Lloyd. Touchdown, Carolina. Lloyd to the left of Rattlers, holding things up. Wants to take a look at this. 2 wide receivers left side. It is Marshawn right side at the 5, turning into the end zone. Give him 3 on the night. Touchdown, Carolina. Touchdown, Marshawn Lloyd. This one from 8 yards out.
South Carolina Gamecocks take care of business this week in a night game at Williams-Brice by the tune of 56-20, scoring 38 straight on the back of a very, very dominant rushing game here against the Charlotte 49ers. Fortunately for us, we extend our record now to 2-2 on this young season, and the 49ers fall to 1-4. But they are still a very, very talented team. Now, there's a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of negatives we can talk about this game, and it's similar in a way to that Georgia State game at the beginning of the year. I don't want to sound too excited about this because this is a game or a team that we should always beat. This is the type of score we should see in every matchup of a game like this, but unfortunately for us, we do need to celebrate this win because the offense or the running production more specifically, I wouldn't say the passing game, that side of the offense finally showed just how good they can be, and it was amazing to watch. Marshawn Lloyd, 15 attempts, 169 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day, and the very impressive hurdling of that defender early in that first quarter. Man, that was an amazing, amazing run. Christian Beal-Smith as well, 9 for 55, 2 touchdowns, and we also had Juju McDowell finish the day 9 for 23. Luke Doty had 2 rushes for 32 yards there late in that fourth quarter. McDowell did have a touchdown. I forgot to mention that. Spencer Rattler got a couple of runs in on himself, but at the end of the day, after sacks, they count those as negative rushing yards in college football. So after sacks, Rattler was given 3 carries for 5 yards, but he did look relatively productive on the few carries that he initially had throughout the day. This offense really came out a little weak, and after a slow start, the 49ers jumped out to a 7-3 lead, and then it was 14-10, I believe, at one point in the second quarter. They really turned it up a notch. They went into halftime up 20-14, I believe was the score, and they did exactly what they needed to do. Whatever was said in halftime, the Gamecocks came out and played much, much better than they did in that first half. The defense ended up having 3 total turnovers in that second half, 3 straight drives of interceptions. Brad Johnson ended up having 1, I know, off a deflection where he almost returned it for a touchdown. DQ Smith had 1 early in the second quarter that was dropped. Initially, they thought he had caught it, but it ended up being touching the ground while he was in the process of bringing it in. But he did finally get one there in the third quarter. And also Cam Smith with a beautiful read and a beautiful cut off. He dives in front of the receiver and picks it off. And we really just shattered the confidence of this 49ers team. And they're an impressive team. Chris Reynolds showed in that first quarter just how good of a quarterback he can be. 143 yards, 2 touchdowns for him in that first quarter alone. Unfortunately for them, they just couldn't sustain the success. The 3 back-to-back interceptions obviously really hurt this team. Rushing-wise, they couldn't stop the Gamecocks at all defensively, and you could just tell they were outmatched talent-wise and physicality on both sides of the ball. But at the end of the day, there are some bad things about this game. The Gamecocks' offensive passing yards are a little deceiving. To finish with 250 passing yards is not as great as it may seem. Rattler on the day, 17 for 23, 187 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Didn't really have many opportunities throwing it downfield, except for maybe late in that second quarter on the 2-minute drill where they went down the field and they got a field goal. Rattler did get sacked on that drive. He had another opportunity there to throw it downfield. He just took the sack and had to eat it. And also, Luke Doty, 2 for 3, 63 yards, a touchdown, and interception. So that's another 63 yards right there to that 250 passing yard total. Unfortunately for us, fortunately for us in this game, we didn't need the passing game to show up in a big way. We didn't really need them to produce a very, very explosive offensive game like we did in that Arkansas game, or like we needed last week against Georgia. But at the same time, you would have liked to seen a lot more out of this passing attack, because we haven't proved that we can do this consistently rushing wise against quality opponents. Charlotte has a very, very poor rushing defense, and that's just a statistic that everybody knows. So I don't think that this is going to be something we can rely on to get almost 300 rushing yards every game the rest of the season. Now, we did see at the end of last season, we kind of got things going running wise, so maybe this is a sign that we'll be better, but do not expect 300 yards every game. And with that in mind, we're going to need more out of this passing game. Rattler really didn't take many shots downfield at all. I'm not going to say that he didn't have opportunities. Let me adjust my camera real quick. I'm not going to say that he didn't have opportunities, but he did not really take advantage of those opportunities, and he was more of a game manager than a game changer. He didn't take many shots downfield. He didn't really have a lot of plays where he rolled out of the pocket and looked deep downfield or even across the middle. He had a few good reads there, and if I was going to say one main positive thing about Spencer Rattler today, he really impressed me by the amount of times he didn't have anything, so he would either throw it away or put his head down and run for it. He did that a lot this game, and in the past, in the first few games of the season, we've seen him, instead of taking the wide open guy or throwing it away, we've seen him force it downfield, and today he really showed some maturity, at least a little bit, on that side of the ball. And I was very impressed with that for Rattler. So hopefully he can build on that next week going into a South Carolina State matchup that is very favorable for us. Obviously, the Bulldogs sit at 1-3 on this young season. They lost to UCF. Bethune-Cookman they beat 33-9, and they just lost to North Carolina A&T tonight, or yesterday afternoon. So it should be a favorable matchup against the Bulldogs. Gamecocks defense came out slow this game against Charlotte. Thankfully, in the halftime, somebody must have hyped them up, because they were able to get a nice jump coming out of that third quarter, and they made a lot of big plays. That's something that we need to see going forward. That's something that we need to continue to produce. We need those turnovers. We need to steal possessions if we want to continue to win. Thankfully, we have another easier building block game coming up against South Carolina State. I think this is the game we really need to. Yes, we can rely on the run. We do need to allow our passing game to get going. Maybe bring in Corey Rucker, who had a nice catch there in that fourth quarter. Maybe try and get Juice Wells involved a lot more. No matter how we do it, we need to get that passing game going, because we have a crucial matchup just 2 weeks from now against Kentucky, a top 10 opponent at the moment. If they lose, they could be out of the top 10, but right now they are a top 10 opponent. So thankfully, we have a couple weeks here with this matchup today and next week where we get to build up and kind of recover from that embarrassing game, or the two embarrassing games against Arkansas and Georgia. At the end of the day, though, a win is a win, and the Gamecocks now sit at 2-2 on this young season. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, please hit the like button and subscribe, and comment down below your predictions for next week against South Carolina State. As always, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.